Hi, I'm Lynne Marie Rowland. Up until now, we've been speaking about resilience as something different than what we are often taught. Not something you force, but something that begins to form through relationship with your experience, with the natural world, and with what has come before you. The real question is, how do you actually begin? Not in theory, but in practice. And the first thing to understand is that we don't create resilience, we create the conditions that allow it to emerge. This is a shift that changes everything. When we try to force healing, or try to move faster, or resolve something before it's ready, we often create more tension, not less. This isn't just a philosophical idea. In psychology and neuroscience, we see that when the nervous system is overwhelmed, the pressure does not create change, it creates contraction. Real change, the kind that allows something to integrate, requires a different state. One that includes safety, attention, and the ability to remain present without being overwhelmed. This is where many of the practices we've been speaking about begin, as ways to create those conditions. I'll share a few simple ones. The first is observation, the foundation of everything. Choose something in your life or the natural world and allow yourself to notice it without trying to change it. This may seem very simple, but it begins to shift your relationship to experience, from control to attention, and over time this creates space, and that space is what allows something new to emerge. The second is writing, drawing, or reflection, not to analyze, but to let something take form. Sometimes what we are carrying cannot fully move until it has somewhere to land. A few words, a sentence, an image on a page, enough to begin to externalize what is internal. The third is stillness. Even briefly to experience presence, a moment when you're not trying to move anything forward, where your system has a chance to settle. This is one of the best ways to begin working with the nervous system rather than against it. The fourth is movement. Not structured, not performative, just allowing the body to respond. Because much of what we carry is not held in thought, it's held physically. When the body begins to move, even gently, something inside can begin to shift. These practices may sound simple, but they are not small. They're how we begin to create the conditions for resilience. From a shamanic perspective, these same foundations extend further. Observation becomes a way of entering relationship with the living world. Imagery becomes a way of working with experience beyond words and in more intentional forms through practices like shamanic journeying. Attention deepens into altered states where insight and connection can emerge more directly. If that language feels unfamiliar, you don't need to begin there. What matters is the quality of attention, because that is what carries through all of these practices. Over time, attention begins to change something very important. You're no longer trying to make something happen. You're allowing something to unfold. And this is where resilience begins to feel different. Less like effort, more like capacity. Less like you're holding something together, more like something is finally holding you. If you want to begin, you could choose just one of these, one place to try to bring your attention in a new way. Just enough to begin, because this is how this work grows, through practice. In the next video, we'll begin to look at what happens as this way of working deepens and how change begins to take shape over time. If you'd like to continue, you're welcome to subscribe or to explore this work at my various websites.